You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
Kind of touched on him a little bit already. Wilfred Zaha.
It's chronically underrated. Ooh. So underrated.
Why?
I don't know. Why
do you think he's underrated?
So I think he is clearly a Champions League player. I think he's definitely good enough to play in the Champions League. I think circumstances have done him a mischief. I think going to Manchester United young, going to a Manchester United team in virtual disarray under David Moyes just didn't. It's timing. Timing is so important to footballers, and it just didn't go his way. He's then gone back to Palace. He's probably stayed there too long. But in terms of ability, in terms of like proven Premier League guaranteed ability, I think he is. In fact, I'm going to go there. Outside of the top six, and by top six, I mean sort of big six, so I'm including sort of Chelsea in this. Outside of the big six,
I know what you're going to say.
I think he is the best player. Do you know where I'm? There are a few players.
You think he's the best player outside of the top six? I think he's the best player.
There are a few others that are making this
big
point
six,
a little bit
not
difficult.
Top six.
Yeah.
Big six. So
like
Newcastle, you'd look at Bruno Guimaraes.
Bruno Guimaraes. I suppose Declan Rice would be on this table.
Brighton, you've got
Caicedo,
McAllister and that.
You'd go
Chelsea. No, Villa.
He's better than everyone up there.
Yeah, no one's.
Coutinho, Wolves. Yeah, no, Moutinho, Neves. Yeah, I think they could.
He's better than everyone at Wolves. If it was Wilfred Zaha, the only players outside the top six that might be better than him,
Maddison?
Arguably Declan Rice, arguably Maddison. Maddison is a great shout, actually. But he is definitely,
he's in there, yeah. He's
top five,
he's top forward.
He's top three. He's top three players that don't play for a big six team. That's how good he is. He immediately improves Chelsea. He immediately improves Tottenham. I think he does a job at United now. Like, in terms of he would contribute to the team. I'm not suggesting he would start instead of X, Y, Z. I'm just saying that if he were available to Ten Hag, he would play him. I just think he's not good enough for Liverpool when it's going well for Liverpool. He's not good enough for Guardiola, definitely not. I think he improves basically every other team.
He improves Spurs.
He improves Tottenham. I think he would improve Arsenal. I think he's a really good player.
I think he's a good player. I just don't know if he's underrated anymore. I think maybe there was one point in time where he was a little bit underrated. I just think we no longer talk about him as much because he's not playing to the level that he once was. That's not to say he still can't do it, and he still has those moments in games where amazing. And I think if Palace stay up again, Palace fans will love him forevermore. He's one of those guys that's always been there, but I just feel like he's not underrated anymore. I don't think he's overrated.
Player as well.
Slightly overrated.
That kind of player, he's not overrated. That kind of player is worth their weight in gold. He drives at the heart of defences. He unnerves fullbacks. They hate playing against him. I guarantee you that. Ask any fullback, I bet you they go, not this geezer again. He's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Defo.
Why is he? You think he's overrated?
Slightly overrated. I just think he's a good Premier League quality player. I don't think he'd change or revolutionise kind of a.
Do you agree with me that he is in the top 5 or whatever we said, top 3 outside the?
I just don't.
Would you not argue he should have done more with the talent he's got?
It's hard. It's about the move. It's all about the move.
So, isn't it? He went to Manchester United.
Yeah, the United. I think because Fergie signed him. It was Fergie's last ever signing, and then Fergie wasn't there, and then Moyes was, and then Moyes didn't like him.
I was employed like that, I was employed once like that. It's very difficult. I got a job. The geezer who employed me got a better job and left, and then the geezer who inherited me was just like, I don't really want you.
Yeah,
it can happen.
Yeah,
me and Wilfred Zaha, we've lived a very similar life.
Moving on, Jordan Henderson, overrated or underrated?
Underrated.
I think he used to be underrated, but I think he's become overrated by those people that pretend to know.
Yes, I agree.
If Jordan Henderson's so good at this,
that easy. You completely changed it.
A lot of time when
Adam said about 4 words. Did you? Did you see what?
Some of it was
mumbling. Some of it wasn't even vocabulary. Some of it was just punctuation.
No, but I forgot. Hang on. Can I at least explain myself?
Go on,
I need to clarify what's just happened.
Yeah.
You nailed your colours to the mast.
Yeah. No,
you said that you said he is underrated.
It was suggestive.
Adam said about 6 words.
Yeah.
4 of them were just punctuation.
Yeah.
And then you went, actually, he's right, I'm changing my
No, because I forgot. Adam reminded me of the narrative on Twitter. On Twitter, where Henderson is considered by Liverpool fans to be that kind of world-class
I think Liverpool fans are quite harsh on him online, I think. Not
and there's a reason for that, though. Because whilst he does a lot of good things for the team, and his protection of Trent is one of those, and I think you're seeing it now without him. And that's the reason you could probably argue underrated, because when he was in the team doing his best, at his best, Liverpool were probably functioning at their best.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a link there, maybe. But I do think it's gone like too far sometimes, you know what I mean? And seen people calling him world class and saying
he's been world class. He's a world class
any
now,
team and all
has
that
been,
kind of thing.
He's a world class.
He's never been world class.
He's a world class captain.
Okay, let me ask you this.
He's been a world class.
Hang on, was Darren Fletcher ever world class?
No.
Exactly.
I don't know his performance.
No, but Darren Fletcher was never world class, and Darren Fletcher for me was a better player than Jordan Henderson.
But was he putting in world class performances on a regular basis like Jordan Henderson was?
Darren Fletcher?
Yeah.
He's bossing teams.
Well, if he was, look, I can't comment.
Chelsea, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he scored a header against us, but I don't know. I don't know is the answer. I don't know about the Darren Fletcher one, but it feels a little bit.
Arsenal about that semi-final.
But it feels a little bit arbitrary that Darren Fletcher. If Darren Fletcher on a regular basis was putting in world class performances,
the reason
then he's world class. Or if he was captaining a team to world class. To world-class performances, to record-breaking performances. If he was doing that, then yeah. Like, remember, one of the most devastating teams that the Premier League has seen was that Liverpool. The history books won't reflect that because Manchester City were better than them. But there was an era that should be, the Liverpool era, the best era that Liverpool have ever had in terms of success. This Liverpool team should have eclipsed that. It didn't because Man City were around. But in terms of their dominance...
Yeah, but Wes Brown was part of the treble-winning 99 side. He was a great player, but he wasn't fundamental to it. I think there's an argument Henderson was right down the totem pole of importance there.
What are you talking about? He was
behind Fabinho, behind Mane, behind Van Dijk. Is that so? What is that crazy shout?
He was very important.
He was the captain, and he allowed Trent Alexander-Arnold.
11 players to list in terms of priority of who is most important for that.
He'd be top 4.
Do you think? Oh, that's
genuinely.
Your opinion.
Because everything that Liverpool did, a load of it was Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
Do you know why Trent Alexander-Arnold was allowed to free free? Yeah. Because Jordan Henderson did all the work for Alexander-Arnold.
I love Henderson. I just think that narrative. Okay, he had a few world-class games. I think that's as far as it went.
Okay, what about he's a world-class captain?
Yeah.
Leading.
In this day and age, we can see how a captain, anyone can be a captain these days, and Henderson is a captain by the definition
I think
of the
Jordan
word.
Henderson is hugely underrated, but I feel like the comments are going to hugely disagree with me here.
Yeah. Right, moving on. Overrated or underrated? Match of the day.
I have to say it's underrated as a product because it gives people the opportunity to watch Premier League football and the way that Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer for decades, even Mark Lawrenson, Alan Hansen, the coverage of Match of the Day is premium. It's the premium product of its kind in the world. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, I think it is now.
It's an institution as well.
It is now overrated though. It used to be underrated when it was very good at its best. Now, you just said all those things. Now it gives you Premier League football in everyone's households. Bro, I can literally watch any highlights I want officially on YouTube before.
They're 3-minute cut downs that Sky give you.
Match of the Day is redundant. It's dead. It's finished. The pundits are crap. No one watches. Watches Match of the Day for the punditry.
Not crap. Alan Shearer's not crap.
Ian Wright's all right, but no one watches Match of the Day. No one watches. Shearer's a useless pundit. No one watches Match of the Day for the punditry. Let's be real. Have you ever watched Match of the Day and stuck around for the punditry on your team?
Like,
I do.
I'm totally opposite. Mate, I might. What I can do
for the highlights, maybe.
I can go through a game if I'm not too interested in it. Like, I've probably seen the goals already. But I am interested to hear what they've got to say about it.
I'm not interested in any of them. Danny Murphy, stick him in the bin. Stick him in the bin.
There are always going to be examples. I think that the Sky and BT coverage is very good, but there are obviously examples where I think this geezer can be quiet for now. But overall, I think Match of the Day is a British institution.
But I think it's no longer needed.
You're saying about the medium of internet, YouTube highlights. You're completely right.
Yeah, so it's finished.
But we're saying the actual products of Match of the Day is still at a very, very good level. I think it gives you that.
I used to watch Match of the Day at 10:30, then watch it again at 7.
Yeah.
Just constantly stuck into it. Now I record it. Yeah. I watch the goals that I've not seen. I might watch the United highlights. I've already watched them already.
Do you know the other thing that you're doing though? You're potentially just being a little bit naive to what's going on around you. Like, how you go, you're a very tech-savvy man with a brand new phone that's like, and you're good on the internet. So you go in, it's redundant, it's not needed. That isn't the story, certainly for a 63-year-old cab driver who doesn't have Twitter.
Of course. But so I'd even think the product is no longer what it was.
But you're an expert in your field. You can derive your own opinion about a 3-minute highlight of a 0-0 Man United Southampton. You can derive that opinion because you do it professionally. A 14-year-old kid at home who watches that for an hour and a half gets every breakdown of every game. They get insight from Alan Shearer, for example.
No, but
I
those
think that's valuable
40-year-old kids
still
ain't
today.
watching Match of the Day no more.
I'm not
bro.
saying
They're
they
watching
do.
idiots
I'm not
like
saying
us.
I'm not saying it's the same amount of people.
They're watching
that
idiots
watch it.
like us,
It's still valuable.
and
I'm
they're
trying to
watching
say.
the highlights
Yeah, but
on
it's
their
still an
phone.
argument that's valuable in today's day and age, in my opinion. I'm not saying there's more people watching it than
The question
10
for
years
here,
ago.
though, right? Underrated, overrated. I don't think it's overrated.
It is now.
I don't think it's overrated or underrated. I just think it is an institution and therefore
It's
sort
all,
of respect.
I'll never
I think we
disagree with that.
underrate how important it's been for the development
Society.
of football in this country.
When I was a
Agreed.
kid, it was underrated.
Agreed.
As a 33-year-old man, it's overrated, bro. It's finished. It's finished, and that's
But
not
why
just
can't you
because of what's
detach
happened
yourself
recently.
from the product that's valuable? Because I agree with you. I watch Match of the Day less than I used to.
Because
but
I disagree.
What about the
I was
8-year-old
once
kids?
that 12-year-old kid
Yeah.
watching Match of the Day
What's the-
religiously.
it's not valuable
but
for people
nowadays,
that age.
12-year-old kids know more than us about their phones.
That's not Match of the Day's fault that YouTube's come around. It's not Match.
But it
the
makes
product
it
of Match of the Day is
redundant.
still premium.
And I suppose they have tried to evolve, haven't they? They've got their own like spin-off into
Match
the
of the
world.
Day X and
Match
all
of the
that.
Day 3 and
No,
yeah.
forget that.
In number one, I don't feel like I can talk about this after this weekend. Virgil Van
Eric
Dijk.
Ten Hag.
Virgil Van Dijk.
I like that.
Virgil Van Dijk. I actually think he's over. It's not that I don't rate him. I think I rate him higher than anyone else around this table. I rate him very highly. I just don't rate him as well as highly as everyone else seems to rate him. I feel like people, like, you know, when there's talk about greatest centre-half ever or top 5 centre-half, I just don't think he's anywhere near that.
No.
I really don't think he's anywhere near it. Like, I don't like.
He had a great purple.
I think he had a season. Yeah, the purple, exactly that. It's a season or 2 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, Chelsea had Alex Rodrigo, who had a good season. You know, I mean, like
yeah.
a good season. I
Mangala
really.
had a good game.
I think Van Dijk's a very good player, but I agree with Rory. I think he's overrated based off. Like, I remember like people going mad over it.
Yeah.
People told me genuinely that he was in, like, you know, this is when he hadn't
Premier
even
League
been in that
11s
long.
and that.
Premier League 11.
Yeah, one Premier League title.
And I was
thing.
thinking,
Yeah.
like, genuinely, I think, you know, when you go, I don't think he's even top 5.
Yeah.
I think he's possibly top 10, but then I do also think I could name 10 that
Liverpool's got a weird narrative around it. When anyone does really well, they kind of go way up, like Suarez. It's a bit like England fans. When England do well in a tournament, we beat someone in the round of 16, or we're going to win it. Everyone's the best player at the tournament. It's a bit like that. Liverpool fans get gassed over very, very little. For me, Van Dijk, top 12 centre-backs in the history of the
top
Premier League.
15, definite.
Top 25 for sure.
Yeah.
He is.
I don't
So
think it's
overrated, hugely. Because
Massively
but
overrated.
people have been so. He's almost become a victim of the way that people talk about football. Like, it's not his fault. It's just he probably would have said, "I'm not the best. Of course, I'm not better than Rio Ferdinand. Of course, I'm not better than John Terry. Of course, I'm not better than Vincent Kompany. Of course, I'm not better than Sol Campbell. Of course, I'm not better than Tony Adams." I reckon he would have admitted that.
I think the best centre-backs show two sides of themselves. I think the John Terry, when he was young at Chelsea, athletic, scoring goals. Rio Ferdinand at Leeds, went to Man United, athletic, powerful, pacey. We've seen that with Van Dijk. When they get older, / they get a major injury, which a lot of them do, John Terry played every single game in his penultimate season for Chelsea when you won the league. To show
captain Chelsea to a Premier League title 10 years later.
Be sort of a little bit slower about the game, more methodical, be a kind of calmer centre back. I've not seen that from Van Dijk yet, where he can sit there in a back four, marshal a team.
Genuinely, then, okay, let's just. I know it's hard off the top of your head. Like, is he top 5 for you? Is he top?
He's not top 50. He's not top 10 for sure.
Not top 10.
He's top 50. He is. What's funny about that?
All right, moving on.
What's funny about that?
Overrated and underrated. Jose Mourinho.
I think he's actually underrated, Mourinho.
I think current Mourinho as a manager right now, Roma manager, is overrated. But I think his legacy has become underrated because of how he is as a manager.
But no one rates him now at Roma in terms of the same person he was at Chelsea. No. No one says he's a Champions League winning manager.
I don't think he's 05. I don't think he's 05 anymore.
No one says that.
But I do think overall people don't acknowledge the brilliance of what he achieved with Porto, the brilliance of what he achieved with Inter Milan, and quite how dazzlingly good the Chelsea team that won back-to-back leagues are. I think that whole Chelsea team actually isn't given. You know, people do like best teams of all time. I think the thing that I would do if I would say best, I think you go to treble winners just because it's Manchester United's treble is unprecedented and that team was outrageously good. But you know, if you were to ask a lot of people, do your top 5 teams ever? I think a lot leave out that Mourinho team, that Chelsea team. And part of the reason is because of the Invincibles. Chelsea won the league back to back. We lost one game that season to City, funnily enough. Anelka scored a penalty against us. But we also won more. We won more points. I think that Mourinho is chronically underrated, actually.
100. I think there's an argument he's top 5 in the history of football management.
I completely agree.
If you win, I mean, we're talking about Ferguson. He won 2 Champions Leagues in his entire career. Of course, maybe the best of all time. It's a pretty easy debate for a lot of people. Mourinho won 2 with 2 different clubs. One, the last Portuguese side to ever win a Champions League. That's 25 years ago now. Inter Milan, the first treble ever in Italian football, I think it is, or at least the first treble in Inter Milan's history. So, and to do it in a kind of way where he was getting the most out of limited players, arguably. Someone like Walter Samuel at the end of his career at Inter Milan doing well. These young players at Porto.
The keeper that ended up at QPR.
Julio Cesar and all that. How was he at QPR?
Yeah. No, I think he's chronically underrated, Mourinho. I love the man. Do you know what? He broke my heart when he went to Tottenham. It was a real Iscariot-like move. I'd love him back at Chelsea today.
People just taking the pay. If you need the paycheck, like they were giving him 12 million a year, whatever it's 10 million a year. Just a quick one for you lads. If he had the right circumstances, the right team, could he win a Champions League
today
with Team X?
I don't think he wins a top league or the Champions League ever again.
Not top league. What about the French league? If he went to PSG, been linked to PSG.
Yeah, I mean, but that's tapping.
So you don't. Okay.
That's like winning the SPL itself.
So the Premier League, the Spanish league, or the Italian league.
I can't see him ever winning.
You won't go to Germany. So one of those 3, or the Champions League. Interesting.
I think I'd have him at Chelsea now. That's all I can say, isn't it? In terms of demonstrating how I feel about the man.
You beat Dortmund.
We beat Dortmund. I agree, mate. I agree. We beat Dortmund. And we beat Dortmund. And we probably get into the top half.
And then he told us it wasn't us. It was him. No, it wasn't him. It was us.
Yeah.
Which is just disastrous. Right. Pitch invasions. Overrated, underrated.
Hang on. Are they over? I love them and I hate people who are cynical about them.
Yeah, I think they're important.
I like pitch invasions, like, for example, when United came back against Villa in the FA Cup and the whole of the park just ran up. I like that. I like when I celebrated a goal with Fellaini, for example. But what I hate is this Southie one.
What do you mean? Oh, what? Like the kid who runs on and goes...
The pitch, like it's just one pitch invader looking for a picture.
Yeah.
I think end of the season. I think there's got to be a mixture of player safety. I think it's important, but I think there's a real important thing of these fans like go on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? It's the kind of the tactile nature of a football pitch. It is part of the fans that go there to watch. It's not this kind of exclusive bit of space for millionaire footballers to play on. I think it's important that if you win a Premier League title the last day of the season, City fans run on. Oh yeah, that's important.
Different circumstances.
Yeah. Do you know what as well? Do you know when you were talking about pitch invaders? Do you know what there's a lack of these days? Streakers.
What in snooker? You mean?
No, streakers.
But there was a period in the snooker. Remember when they were streaking?
But
they've all become them weirdos that like tie themselves to posts and that.
Yeah, no, with like political messaging. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just getting naked for no reason and running on the pitch. There's a great photo actually of Dennis Wise. A streaker runs on, right? No, like completely. This girl totally naked, just runs on, and Dennis Wise is definitely chatting her up. Like he's got his arm, around her. He's wearing that yellow kit. So what I'd like to see if anybody could listen to this podcast and take one thing from it. I think we need more streakers in society.
If City win the Champions League, if England win the World Cup,
you're going to streak.
I'll streak the World Championship of snooker.
I don't want you to streak.
I'll do the snooker.
I'm kind of the implication here is
Neil Robertson, Judd Trump at the snooker.
Nobody wants to see you naked, mate.
At the snooker, they do.
At the snooker, what are you catnip amongst snooker fans?
Yeah, of course I am. All the snooker fans love the club.
There's only supposed to be one white ball at the snooker.